What's happening, folks? Thanks for tuning in to MMA NYC. Once again, I'm your host, Jody Smith. This is my running partner in MMA crime,
PJ Chu. What's up, MMA nerds?
Thanks for tuning in today. We're going to give you a rundown of the UFC Fight Night for the Troops 2, and we're going to give some predictions on the upcoming UFC 126. So without further ado, let's do this shit.
All right, let's go.
So the main event, we had Melvin the Young Assassin Gillard facing Evan Dunham, in which was a surprising fight, believe it or not, for probably a lot of people. Evan Dunham was really a rising star, and you know, he obviously had a tough fight, split decision with Sean Sherk prior to that, but I think a lot of people see Evan Dunham as an up-and-coming guy. So yeah, Melvin Gillard got a big win, an emphatic win, knockout. Which was pretty impressive, and I think Greg Jackson's clearly having an effect on Melvin Gillard.
If Dunham won the fight, I definitely think he would have got the lightweight title shot after Guida and Pettis, the winner of Guida and Pettis, and obviously Maynard Edgar. So there was a lot on the line for Evan Dunham.
I think it was definitely a big win for Gillard, having won in the first round via knockout like that. I think one of the next logical matchups potentially for him would be Jim Miller. Jim Miller, of course, coming over the win of Charles Oliveira, who was also an up-and-coming rising star, a lot of hype behind him, as was Evan Dunham. I think Jim Miller and Gillard both got wins in similar fashion, that they took out up-and-coming stars, and so it's kind of I would say, a logical matchup to pair up those two. Also, a potential matchup could potentially be Matt Wyman having beat Cole Miller in complete dominating fashion. And you know, Cole Miller had just beaten Ross Pearson, who was a tough guy, highly touted. So that's a big win for Matt Wyman, and be looking for him to be potentially entering the mix. You know, we'll see what happens. All right, folks, our next fight was Matt Mitrione facing Tim Watermelon Head Hague, and probably one of the bigger knockouts of the night for sure, owned by Matt Mitrione, who's now 4-0. Of course, he's only had clearly 4 fights, but he is undefeated over the course of 4 fights. And I think they need to do an X-ray of his head to make sure he doesn't have a steel, reinforced jaw, because he takes punches and he gives them. And did you like what he said about Dominic Cruz?
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. And let's not forget Matt the Meatball Mitrione beat Kimbo Slice, who was a legendary street fighter. So, but yeah, no, I loved what he said about Dominic Cruz, how he wanted to emulate his style and being a heavyweight, like. Do you see a lot of heavyweights moving like Matt Mitrione?
I don't, and I mean, I think with the athleticism that Mitrione has, being with his professional football experience,
oh yeah,
he definitely has that athleticism in his favor, and I'm interested to see what this guy's going to do. And if he keeps training, he seems to get better and better with every fight. Definitely. He can obviously take a punch. I think 2 interesting matchups. He's not ready for the big 4, being Dos Santos, Kane, Lesnar, and Carwin. But I think somebody like maybe Big Country or Stefan Struve could be an interesting matchup for him.
Even a Frank Mir, right?
Absolutely, even Frank Mir, absolutely. Maybe even Pat Barry, who apparently was making jokes with Matt Mitrione.
They're boys, though. I don't know if they, I don't know if they'll fight each other, but we'll see. All right, the next fight is the debut of the featherweights. Number 1 contender status for Hominick. There was a lot on the line. If Hominick won this fight, he would have been guaranteed a shot at Jose Aldo, and obviously he won this fight, and he picked George Roop apart. I mean, George Roop just beat the Korean Zombie.
Yeah.
And kicked him in the head and knocked him out.
Zombie who potentially my knockout of the year.
Yeah, no.
Definitely top 5 without a doubt.
It was kind of like a Crow Cop, like old school Pride. Head kick.
Yeah, it was insane.
There was blood coming out of his face, But Hominick destroyed him, and Hominick looked great in the last fight against Leonard Garcia, who was a tough guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what he did was, like what Hominick said at the end, Jose Aldo probably has not seen anyone that strikes like Mark Hominick, because Hominick, he's very accurate.
I think surgical precision was the word that I would probably use for Hominick to sort of stay in the pocket with a tall, lanky, lengthy guy like Roop, who gives head kicks. He's fast. He's got the reach advantage. Stay in the pocket and surgically just pick Roop apart with just sheer accuracy and speed was something that was pretty impressive. And I got to say, man, Jose Aldo, Mark Hominick is going to be a pretty impressive fight.
Oh yeah, but I still got my money on Jose.
I wouldn't necessarily bet against Jose, since he insists on calling himself Jose, not Jose. But you know, interestingly enough, Farouk coming off the defeat of the Korean Zombie, like we mentioned earlier, an interesting matchup for Farouk might be Dustin Poirier, who recently took out Josh Grisby, or Josh Grisby fighting Manny Gambarian, or all things considered, any four of those guys fighting each other. I think that they're in that upper bracket. And yeah, I mean, we got to be looking for
I agree, but I think you're mentioning Dustin because he's from Louisiana.
Well, I am mentioning Dustin from Louisiana. But mind you, they were saying that Josh Grisby would be potentially getting a title shot against Jose Aldo had he had won that fight, and Dustin beat his ass. Go, Bro Bridge, crawfish capital of the world, son.
But as always, MMA math doesn't always work. If you beat someone,
right,
doesn't mean you're better than the person that you beat. Whatever, you know. It's it doesn't work out that styles make fights, you know. So a lot of times people match up with different people better than others. You know?
Grisby Roop would be fun because they both like are tall and just.
I want to see Grisby bust out some jiu-jitsu on people.
That's his deal. That's his bread and butter, so to speak. Other couple of interesting fights. I would say that it was interesting to see the McKenzie team, Cody McKenzie, lose via submission to Eve Edwards, and Eve Edwards is a veteran. It was good to see him get back in the mix.
All right, another fight on the card, Pat Barry versus the Mexican Joey Beltran. We knew it was gonna be a stand-up war, and Barry just outclassed him.
Kicked the shit out of his legs.
I mean, Pat Barry's got K1 boxing experience, so I mean, this guy's a kickboxer first and foremost. So I mean, it was a good fight.
All right, folks, so now we're on to the next phase of the show, which is going to be UFC 126 picks. It'll be interesting. PJ and I often pick different people to win these fights, so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let PJ pick his winners for the top 4 or 5 fights on that card.
All right, we're going to start out with the main event, the meat and potatoes. Anderson Silva, the defending champ, the king of the middleweights, against Vitor Belfort, the phenom. It's going to be tough. I mean, Belfort, he's an explosive striker, but, #1 pound for pound. Anderson Silva destroys Belfort. First round knockout. Jones Bader, I'm going with Bones Jones. I just think he's on a different level than Bader. He's TKO first round. Griffin Franklin.
Oh, you're TKO first round? Every prediction? All right, go ahead.
All right, Griffin Franklin.
Not going to be a first round knockout.
Not a first round knockout, but I'm going to go with the unanimous decision by Rich Franklin. Ellenberger Rocha. I'm going with Jake Ellenberger.
My boy.
Yeah, I think he wins. I don't know. I think he wins by another decision, and Cowboy versus Paul Kelly. I'm going with second round submission by guillotine by the Cowboy.
Nice.
Getting specific.
I like that. It's good. We should be specific.
Yeah.
So I would have to say for the Silva-Belfort fight, I'm actually going second round TKO via referee stoppage for Belfort, beating Anderson Silva, dethroning the pound-for-pound badass. I've been saying that Belfort's speed and power is something that I'm interested to see how Anderson contends with it. For John Jones, Ryan Bader, it's hard to root against, it's hard to bet against John Jones for that matter. The guy is definitely a phenom. He's got the longest reach. Somehow even Stefan Struve, who's 6'11", John Jones is like 6'3", 6'4", and still has a longer reach than a guy who's 6'11", which is just ridiculous. So I think I would pick John Jones, maybe via decision. I don't think he's going to knock Ryan Bader out. There is the off chance that Ryan Bader, via his, I think, exceptional wrestling, he may be able to grind out a decision win and negate some of John Jones' offense, but I don't necessarily see that happening. Forrest Griffin. Forrest Griffin and my boy Rich Franklin, two of my favorite fighters. You gotta love both of those guys. Rich Franklin at 205 is pretty dangerous. He packs some good power in his punches. I would think he might be able to kick or punch his way to maybe some referee stoppage against Forrest Griffin. I think it's going to be a great fight regardless, and either way, I love both of those guys. It's hard to root, but if I got to choose one, I'd probably have to say Rich Franklin decision.
Nice.
Ellenberger. Well, anyone who's watched any of the past episodes of MMA NYC probably knows that I've been rooting for Jake Ellenberger for some time. I think he's one of the up-and-coming welterweights, without a doubt. Powerful wrestler, powerful puncher. Just he lost a split decision against Carlos Condit. Carlos Condit is one of those dudes that's moving up in the ranks. So clearly, I got Jake Ellenberger. Probably via decision, maybe submission or ground and pound, referee stoppage, round 3.
All right.
And one of my absolute all-time favorite fighters in MMA, period, is going to be Donald Cowboy Cerrone versus Kelly. I think you already know who I'm going to pick in this. I'm going to go round 2 submission. He said guillotine. I don't know, but I would be willing to bet that it probably will be a submission. Cowboy's got mean jiu-jitsu, and his striking's badass. Let's face it, he's a crazy son of a bitch, so how can you not like the guy? In any case, thanks for tuning into the show, folks. That about does it. It was a short and sweet one. Be looking for us 2 weeks from now when we give you a little bit of UFC 126 post-fight analysis and up-and-coming picks as well. So until then, I guess we'll have to catch you on the flip-flop. Thanks for tuning in, folks.
Peace.